Hi guys, and welcome back to another Madden 19 rebuild. I don't usually ask this early on in the videos, but if you do enjoy the video, drop a like on it and comment down below if you want to see more rebuilds and what teams to use. But today we're going to be doing the Arizona Cardinals. Probably one of the worst rosters you can actually get in a rebuild. They don't have much, if anything, of talent. I mean, we have David Johnson, who does still have superstar development, which is good. So he's definitely going to be the corner piece of the team, or the cornerstone of the offense. Offensive line is terrible. Tight end's pretty bad. Wide receiver, I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, he's going to regress massively down to an 82 or an 81 within the end of the year. So outside of him, Christian KIRK, good player in real life. I really like him. But he's not really going to be a number one receiver. He's very much more a slot receiver. And we obviously have Josh Rosen as our quarterback. So not much to work with on offense, and on defense it's pretty much the same story, although we do have a few players. I've sort of moved around a few pieces on the defense, but we have Pat Pete, who's probably going to be our staple number one corner for the 3 or 4 years. Besides him, no other good cornerbacks. We've moved Buda Baker to free safety, just because he's going to be the number 2 cornerback, if not free safety. I want to get him a lot of experience. He fits the scheme there. He's young, so hopefully he can develop pretty well. He's got quick dev for now. Hopefully that can get up to star, maybe even superstar if he gets a few Pro Bowls in him. And we've also got Trey Boston there as our other safety, who's going to be pretty good as well. Our linebacking core is pretty weak. I mean, we've got Chandler Jones playing outside linebacker, just because I've changed to a 3-4. I mean, we pretty much always use a 4-3, so I was going to use a 3-4 this time, just to see how it performs differently. So in the first year, what I'm probably going to do, I mean, we're just going to have to trade, I think, players for picks, just because there's so many holes. We're going to need a lot of picks in the draft just to fill them. So we're going to be, hopefully, getting a few decent picks for these players. So first one here, we're going to trade Hodges and Walker, 2 useless middle linebackers, for the first rounder off the Detroit Lions. This one, we're going to trade Gresham and Peters for the 2 first rounds, actually, from the Cowboys. Both these guys could potentially start, but they're both old, so they're not worth too much to me, and the first round picks will be. Next one, with the Bengals, we're going to trade Smith, right tackle 71 we don't need, for a first round. And with the Packers, more picks. We're going to get rid of Antoine Bethea, Pierre, and a 5th round for 2 first rounds this year from the Green Bay Packers. Really happy with this trade. We definitely needed the 2 extra first rounds. And another first round coming in. We're going to get rid of Phillips and Abushi for a first round off the Bills. This should be a really high pick. I can imagine our pick's going to be pretty high, considering we're really gutting the team. We're literally, like I said, going to tank the first year and just get a lot of picks. So we do actually end up losing any playoff games, or a lot of playoff games, due to having a bad kicker. So we're going to get in the best kicker, and we're going to get rid of Mike Glennon for Justin Tucker. Fantastic trade, I think. He's definitely the best kicker. And I think this will be one of the final trades, if not the final trade. We'll get rid of Mayo and Dawson for Darren Lee from the Jets. And we actually managed to somehow trade Ford, Cunningham and Johnson for Gerald McCoy. I mean, he's pretty old. I think he's 29 or 30, but he's 92 overall, so it's definitely worth it. And I think that will be the final trade. So we really gutted the team. Like I said, I gut the offense if I'm going to tank in the first year, I'm just really going to gut the offense, get rid of sort of any talent we have, and get a few youngsters on defense, because they'll get so much experience, because they'll have so many downs played. In the long run, it definitely makes sense. It's sort of the thing I think that John Gruden's actually trying to do in real life this year. He's gutting the team, just getting loads of first round picks. Obviously not as many as this, but he's getting loads of first round picks just to make the team better in the long run. So I can imagine this will be a 3-4 year rebuild. But so let's jump to the mid-season, see what our record is, and see who we have to re-sign. So in the mid-season, obviously we're going to have to re-sign Larry Fitz, and we're actually second in the division at 5-3. I've no idea how we're beating any teams. I was expecting 0-8, if I'm being honest. The division's it's reasonably difficult as well. The Seahawks are a good team. The Rams are obviously an insane sim team, and the 49ers are also okay. But on offense, not too many experience points. We got a few points on the guys that we needed them, Christian KIRK and David Johnson, as well as Josh Rosen. And on defense, also not too many, but we've also got a few on a fair amount of guys. So that's pretty good. The team's looking decent. I mean, they're winning. They're 5-3. I don't think we're going to have to re-sign too many people. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, I really want to keep him, and obviously I'm sure Cardinals fans will, but I can imagine either he'll retire at the end of the year or he'll go down hugely in overall, and we'll be playing him when we should really be bleeding youth through the team. So I might offer him a 1 year and just play him in the slot or something. I might leave it till the end of the year and just see what talent is in free agency, because I'm sure we can pick him up in free agency again pretty cheap. Trey Boston, obviously we want to keep. He's young, he's a good safety. Marcus Golden, he's a starter for us at the moment. I don't think he will be in the long run, but getting him in on a fairly cheap deal, definitely worthwhile. If, worst case scenario, we can use him as trade bait for something, because that's a very low signing bonus. And Ricky Seals-Jones, I'm also going to bring him back. I mean, there's a lot of tight ends to trade for in the league who you can actually trade for fairly easily. I think Hunt Henry is probably one of the only tight ends you can't trade for fairly easily. But we're going to get Ricky Seals-Jones back. He's not too old. He's decent overall. He's only got normal dev, so he probably will be replaced in the long run. But for now, he's definitely a good stopgap, considering we have a lot of other holes to fill. We're going to have to keep all our decent players just because we don't have too many of them, to be honest. So, I mean, 5-3. I can't see us winning too many more games. If we make the playoffs, I will be, I can't believe we will. But anyway, let's see if we do. So, jumping to the end of the year, it looks like we made the playoffs. And we actually won the division over the Rams. That's ridiculous. I'm going to show you I didn't actually force any wins, because I cannot believe we've actually made it to the playoffs. And we've actually got first round bye. Every team must have just been incredibly bad this year. 10-6. I was sort of, in a way, happy about that, because if every team's terrible, we could maybe make it through a few rounds of the playoffs. But what's quite annoying is I did want to tank and get some good draft picks, so that's quite frustrating. But we went on a very good run at the end. We won 4 out. We beat the Falcons 52-45. So we're going to have a lot of, well, by the looks of it, we're going to have a fair few guys on a lot of good yards. So hopefully Christian KIRK was the guy picking up the majority of those. Josh Rosen, he did okay. It's a very average year, but then again, he is an average quarterback in Madden terms. 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, 13 picks. Not a great completion percentage either, so I mean, we'll keep him for now. David Johnson carried the team, literally. 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. Thankfully, Christian KIRK was the main outlet on offense, on the receiving side of things. 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. If he gets a Pro Bowl, they could bump him up to star dev, and he could really be... I mean, he might be our number 1 overall receiver, but he's not really a number 1 receiver, so we'll sort of see how that goes. Buda Baker leading the team in tackles. A fair few tackles for loss. Hassan Reddick did fairly good there. Not very many sacks, but Gerald McCoy, he had a decent year. 11 tackles for loss with 5.5 sacks is fairly decent. A lot of picks. So I'm guessing that is the reason why the team's done okay. Just forcing a lot of turnovers. 2 forced fumbles as well from Trey Boston in there. I don't know how the team did that well, considering our linebacker core is pretty awful. Our defensive line, well, we sort of only have one good linebacker, one good D-line, but our secondary is okay. So I'm guessing that's how we did well. I mean, David Johnson's obviously the reason the offense did well. Him and Christian KIRK together did very well. And I didn't expect us to have anyone in the MVP race. I don't know how we sort of stumbled into 10-6. I mean, Matt Ryan got there 6-10. It literally just looks like every team this year has performed pretty badly. Offensive Player of the Year, Tom Brady, with Le'Veon Bell coming in second, but Todd Gurley and Drew Brees on our side, with David Johnson coming in at number 9. I mean, he did deserve it. He probably deserves to be higher considering the team he carried. The Bears' defense seemed to perform not phenomenally well. Josh Rosen wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is great. I was kind of hoping Christian KIRK would win it, but then a wide receiver winning it is so rare. It's going to go to our quarterback. I'll definitely take that, because I think he will probably be the quarterback that we're going to stick with throughout this entire rebuild. He's decent. Hopefully that gives him, 5 or 6 experience points or something we can build off. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We actually have Turner. I'm not even sure who that is at number 7. He's a 60 overall. I'm not sure where he played, but apparently he performed okay. Josh Rosen at number 6 on the quarterback. David Johnson, unfortunately not first. He came in second. Christian Kirk's on the list as well. We're not going to have any O-line because our O-line, I mean, the overalls are all in the 70s, so there's no chance there. And that will be it for yearly awards. So somehow we managed to get playoffs. I don't know how this team gets playoffs, but some of the other ones I've built don't. I don't understand the sim whatsoever. A few experience points on a few key guys, as I said. David Johnson with 2, Josh Rosen with 3, Christian Kirk with 7. He's a difficult one. I'm not sure where to upgrade. He actually got star development as well. That's fantastic. But yeah, I'm not sure where to upgrade him because he is primarily a slot guy, but he is going to be our number 1 rated receiver, so it's a difficult one. Buda Baker in there, a lot of skill points as well. He's made a Pro Bowl again and gone up to star dev. That's exactly what we wanted. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know how this team has performed that well, but yeah, let's go forwards. And shouldn't have simmed to the Super Bowl there. My apologies. I genuinely forgot, or didn't forget, but it was just instinct that we didn't make playoffs because the team's so bad. But the Rams ended up losing the playoff final to the Browns, so obviously we didn't get to the Super Bowl. I'll see where we did get knocked out. I would like to actually go through the game and see what happened. But where did we end up? When obviously not in there. Go forward. 1. And we lost to the Rams. So going into the off-season, not too many guys. I did offer David Irvin the highest deal. He didn't take it, unfortunately. But we're going to get Janoris Jenkins and we're going to get Wilson in as a receiver. And a lot of other guys have accepted. Unfortunately, Preston Smith didn't, but he wasn't going to be a long-term starter. So these guys hopefully can develop a little bit, or they'll end up being the backups behind our starters that we draft. Considering we have so many draft picks, I'm hoping we have at least 1 high overall one. And we have the 4th. So I'll go through the draft. I'll show you a few of the players I picked, but we have so many first rounds. I might jump towards the end of the draft and do a little recap as to who we got. So I think with our first pick, we're going to go with Long Barton. Looks like a great player and 79 quick. He's good, but I did reach a little bit on that pick, unfortunately. And with the next pick, Grant Kane here looks amazing. He's got B+, B+, B-. Great combine, and he's the 2nd overall talent at 81 overall. We needed linemen. This guy's going to be a staple lineman for years to come. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I'll definitely take that pick. And another first rounder, Bennett Brooks. I mean, we do need another receiver, and he is fairly decent, so we can maybe move him up and play Christian Kirk in the slot during the season. Another first round pick here, Sherman Murphy. He's got a great combine. His stats look decent. B, B-, 77 overall normal. Unfortunately not fantastic, but obviously better than the lineman we already have, so I will take it. And this is the draft summary. We did have a lot of first rounders, as you can see. Pretty much every pick is a good one. They are a few normal dev guys, which is a bit disappointing, but some of the guys do have star and quick dev, so I'll take that. Starters, they're pretty much all going to start except Pierce Clark there. I got him just because for some reason in every draft there's so many good quarterbacks in the 2nd round. You can use them as trade bait or trade value, and that's what we were going to do. Sharna was actually the guy I wanted to get, as was Marcus Eldridge, but they both went before we could take them, so we did. I'm pretty happy with the draft. A few tight ends there actually. Probably would have done us pretty well. Winslow, he looks fantastic. That would have been an absolutely great pickup. Yeah. So this is what the team looks like going into year 2 for now. We'll do some trades, but the team, it looks decent. Christian Kirk, once again, a bit of an anomaly. He's a very good slot guy. His release is terrible, so he can't really be a number 1 receiver, because going up against the number 1, the other team's number 1 corner, he's just not going to be able to do that well. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a very first world problem to have a slot receiver that good, but we could use a true number 1 guy. Hopefully the receiver we drafted does become that. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But overall, offense is definitely looking better. We're up to a 79 overall, and defense up to an 83. Got a new linebacker on the right-hand side. I think we're probably going to Weatherspoon. Probably going to start him on the left. I mean, Chandler Jones, he might stay, he might go. He's getting old, he will regress. So it's one of those things. Getting 2 youngsters in, hopefully one of them can win Defensive Player of the Year and get up overall wise to around where he will be. But they'll have a lot more potential. So secondary, we're looking pretty good. Janoris Jenkins will be our slot guy with the cornerback we drafted at number 2. D-line, it's looking okay. Gerald McCoy might stay, he might go. I mean, looking to get rid of the old guys and get in a youth, build this year, next year, and then win the Super Bowl. So, I know I was going to say I wanted to go for youth, but Zach Martin, he's only 28, so he's got a year or 2 left in him. Gerald McCoy and Carr, great trade on our behalf. Another one with the Giants, we're going to get rid of Chandler Jones, who's down to an 84, and Iupati for Evan Ingram. Probably the final trade. Might do one after this actually, but we get 2 first-rounders for Clark and Buchanan. And we drafted Clark with a second, so definitely worthwhile. And this might be the final trade. We're going to get Quentin Nelson for Pugh Williams, and we're also going to get a third with Nelson. He's just too easy to trade for. But yeah, I think that's going to be the final trade we do. So we'll sort of adjust the line around a little bit. The reason we traded Pugh is just because he was getting... Well, I think he's 5 years older than Nelson, and I think something like 12 ratings lower. So to get Nelson and a third for him and some other guy we're not going to use, he's literally just too easy to trade for, Quentin Nelson. He ends up making the Pro Bowl pretty much every year as well, so he goes up 3 or 4 overalls every year. But the O-line is definitely looking better. We're up to an 83 overall with a great O-line. The offense is way better than the defense now, whereas it was the other way around last year. Secondary, I'm pretty happy with that. Linebackers, they're not fantastic. I mean, Darren Lee is pretty much a stopgap. He'll be a good middle linebacker number 2, but for now, you know, he'll be okay. Trey Boston went down to normal dev, which is a bit disappointing. But 85 overall, I'll definitely take that. D-line, it's not as good as it was with Gerald McCoy, but overall, I mean, we just had to get rid of him because he was old. The team's young. If we got playoffs last year, I'm assuming we can do it again this year. We'll sort of go to the mid-season, see where we are. So simming to the mid-season. This is the record I expected, 2-5. I mean, the team isn't fantastic. We're only an 83 overall. We're probably sort of very middle of the ground team at the moment. We don't look like we have too many signings to make. I mean, if Robert Incondici is our number 1, I mean, he was only 81 overall, so everyone else should be fairly cheap. So we should have a lot of cap room to work with in free agency. Hopefully we can get some guys there and push for playoffs next year. But we are going to bring back Robert Incondici just because, once again, he's a starter. And we're still sort of in that place where we can't afford to lose someone who's starting caliber on the team. But there sort of aren't many signings. Janoris Jenkins, we might bring back. We'll see how he does at the end of the year. We can probably get in someone a little better in free agency just because he is going down in overall. But the team overall, it's looking good. It's in a lot better place than I thought it was going to be. So we'll see if we can somehow win more games and make it to the playoffs like we did last year. So simming to the end of the year, week 17 coming up, and we managed to make the playoffs again, 2-5 to 10-6. We must have had a phenomenal run. Obviously, signing those guys at the mid-season just made a difference. I don't know how we managed to do it again. The Seahawks are a decent team in sim. The 49ers tend to do pretty badly, but the Rams are phenomenal. So to get in, I think our record was only a little bit worse than the Rams. So at mid-season, you see, we lost to the Rams straight after that. Went on an absolutely cracking run. We beat everyone. We beat the Saints 38-24. I mean, Josh Rosen must have had a year, as well as Christian Kirk and David Johnson. Actually, he didn't. He didn't have that good a year. That's very surprising. Only 3,760 yards is still pretty decent. 34 touchdowns, 13 picks. David Johnson, another great year, 1,300 yards, with Ty Montgomery getting 510 touchdowns. Very nice little running back tandem there. Receiving, no one did that well. Brooks led our team in receptions but got hardly any yards. Ingram didn't do that well either. And Christian Kirk just seemed to disappear. So he's not a number 1 guy. Albert Wilson got a lot of touchdowns and a fair amount of yards though. So we might have to move him up to number 1. Move Christian Kirk down a few places. I mean, it's a tough one. I know I'm repeating that over and over again, but it is... We don't have a number 1 receiver, and you really need that to do very well in sim, usually. But yeah, anyway, defensively, we did okay. Hopefully, I can imagine if anyone's going to get Defensive Player of the Year there, or Defensive Rookie, it's going to be Long Barton with 9 sacks. No picks, unfortunately. Looks like someone, I mean, Buda Baker had 5. Darren Lee had 4. We have 3 guys on 3, Sheldon Fleming, Pat Pete, and Janoris Jenkins. So that's a lot of turnovers. So I can imagine second half of the season, they really upped their game. Got a lot of turnovers, got a lot of picks, got a lot of forced fumbles. I mean, defensively, the team's performing very, very well. Defensive touchdowns. We did get one with Pat Pete as well. So I guess defence literally carried us this time because Josh Rosen doesn't seem to be performing that well. He's sort of very middle of the pack towards the lower end of things. So we might look to draft another quarterback. We'll see how he does in the playoffs. But anyway, awards. NFC, we aren't going to have anyone there. I'd be surprised if we do. There was a rookie in there for the Rams by the looks of it. Defensive Player of the Year, Blake Martinez. He was someone I did want to try and trade for. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him. But Buda Baker does come in 9th. I think it was him who had... Oh, we didn't get Offensive Rookie of the Year. That is disappointing. We get 2nd and 3rd with McCann. Not sure who that is, if I'm being honest. And Bennett Brooks. He did have a terrible year, so I wouldn't expect him to get it. We don't get Defensive Player of the Year either. We come 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. Oh, that's very disappointing. That would have been a lot of XP. And we come in 9th as well. Considering the amount of players we drafted in the first round, I think it was 7. We don't win either of the awards. That is disappointing because that would have been a lot of XP. But what can you do, eh? Zach Martin gets Offensive Lineman of the Year. Well, he comes 2nd. It seems like we're very much runner-up this year. We come 2nd in the division. 2nd in a lot of awards. Buda Baker actually wins Best DB. So if the game works anyway, we assume it does, he's going to go down to Quick Dev. That's just the way it works for some ridiculous reason. You win an award, you go down in Dev. I mean, Josh Rosen, hardly any experience. Same with Christian KIRK. Not sure how Albert Wilson didn't get anything. He got a development trait increase, but he had a very good year. You would expect him to get at least 1. Josh Rosen's +2 confidence for some reason. Offensive line all have 1. And everyone on defence, sort of the key pieces have a few points, which is what we want. We'll sort of upgrade the team. A game against the Redskins. They're a very weird one in Sim, the Redskins. Not sure how Darrington Doggins got them. He probably got a Pro Bowl for a return man or something. But we're going to go into the game against the Redskins. Hopefully we can win that one. They tend to go either one way or the other. If they make it to the playoffs, they tend to do pretty well. So let's go to that game and see how we're doing. So kicking off against the Redskins, I can imagine it's going to be a very, very close game. I think we were 2 higher rules over them, so it looks like we can't score. It's a very, very defensive heavy game. As I say that, we score a touchdown. We're up 10-0. They haven't actually got any points in the first half yet, and it goes 10-3. I'll definitely take that going into the 3rd quarter. I mean, just to get through the playoffs, just to win a playoff game with a team like this, very happy with it. As I say that, it becomes 10 apiece, and it looks like we're not going to score. Looks like we could potentially score now, 3rd down. Not sure exactly what's happening, and we get a touchdown coming to the end of the game. I think they just turned it over, and they did. So as long as we don't miss a field goal or we get a 1st down, it's game over. We make the field goal and we win 20-10. Josh Rosen somehow doesn't perform well at all, but he wins games. So I'll take that. We'll jump into the next playoff game. Hopefully we can win that as well. So next playoff game here. Unfortunately we're against the Rams and they end up scoring within literally seconds. So they're up 7-0. If we win this game, this just proves that the sim is ridiculous because they were 6 overalls higher than we were. And we're up 14-7. And we're driving again. Oh no, that was them driving. So 14-4. I thought we were going that way. Anyway, they've somehow pulled it back. 21-21. Very tight game. Hopefully we can edge it. It's 28-21. Looks like we go for it on 4th down there. We don't get it. And I thought that was the 4th quarter. It was actually the 3rd. We're down 31-21, 31-24. Can we get a turnover? Can we get a stop? Doesn't look like we can. They're just going to run the game out by the looks of it. Oh no, we did get no idea what happened at the end there. For some reason they didn't run the game out. But anyway, we still did lose, unfortunately, 31-24. Even though Jared Goff and Josh Rosen both had a great game. We'll go to the off-season now. So going to the off-season, there were a few guys, and we did get both of well, we've got Miles Jack, who was the main guy we wanted. There are a few other guys who we put offers on. Will Fuller, we did lowball a little bit, but there were no other offers on him. So we're going to have to go above the Panthers offers on this one. Just get a few more points in there. Give him a bit better signing bonus. But he's going to be our number 1 with Christian KIRK as our number 2 receiver who'll be playing in the slot, which will definitely suit him a lot more. I mean, Will Fuller, once again, not a number 1 receiver, but he is very good in that regard. Austin Eckler, I sort of just put a low ball in just in case we could get him, and a few other guys we're going to bring in as backups. Kenyon Drake doesn't have an offer actually, so he was going to pretty much perform the same role, or will perform the same role as Austin Eckler. We'll once again low ball him. Hopefully he'll sign, and yeah, that will take the team, make the team a little bit better. Have another running back. I mean, Ty Montgomery did very well last year in the backup position, so hopefully Kenyon Drake can do the same thing. But sort of, we ended up getting the guys we wanted. We'll have to wait for next week for Kenyon Drake. Hopefully he does accept, and he does. So we'll move into the draft. I'll sort of do a recap this time. So this is the draft. We had a very good draft again. A few high picks. We got Dawson Go Lucky, who looks phenomenal. He's well, we needed a new right end because Nkemdiche he's okay. I think he's an 81 or 82, so he's pretty much the same as Go Lucky. But Go Lucky looks, I mean, he's a rookie. He's 22. He's 83 overall. He's only normal dev, which is a bit disappointing, but he does look like a great player. Overall, the other picks look very good as well. But as the draft went on, since we're making the playoffs with a team that isn't that high overall, it's quite hard to get good picks. But we did, Go Lucky was good. Ace Monty was someone I did look at. He went the pick before, and as was Blair there. But overall, I think we did pretty well with the draft. I can imagine next year, if we get playoffs again, we'll have a bit of a better run. We somehow managed to get through the first round of playoffs both years so far. Hopefully we can push it a little bit further next year. So we'll go to next year, see what the team's looking like, make a few trades, and hopefully, yeah, make it to the Super Bowl. So this is what the team is looking like coming into year 3. We look decent. Christian KIRK and Will Fuller, probably going to swap them around when the season starts. But yeah, O-line looking great. Evan Engram at tight end, fantastic. Our running back tandem, great. We have the best fullback in the league in Devlin overall wise. Defensively, once again, fantastic. We've got our new, well, I didn't put him a right end, I put him a left end. We didn't actually have a left end, and he was a scheme fit there in Go Lucky. But overall, yeah, the team looks decent. Miles Jack at middle linebacker should be a huge addition. Let's go to the mid-season, see we have to re-sign. Hopefully we'll be winning. So coming in at the mid-season, same as last year. We're not same as last year. We're 3-5. I think last year we were 2-5 coming into this point. We're bottom of the division. This team makes absolutely no sense to me. Hopefully we can win out again and make it to the playoffs. I mean, I don't see how we will. 88 overall is decent, but when you're 3 years in, people have developed. They've got draft picks in. They've developed as well. 88 is still very middle of the road. But we have got a few big re-signings. We've got Buda Baker, who's nearly up to a 99 overall after only 2 years starting at Quick Dev. Absolutely, over the moon with that. Him, Pat Pete, we're going to bring back. It's only on a 1 year. He is still our number 1 corner, so we're going to bring him back. If he wants more money, we'll give him more money in the coming weeks. Evan Engram, he's not been as good as I hoped he would be. 86 overall's okay. He doesn't want too much money, so we'll get him back. He is very much a receiving threat, so hopefully he'll be good on that front for us. And Hassan Reddick, I think he is number 3 in the depth chart now, so we'll give him, a low ball offer. If he takes it, he takes it. If not, he doesn't. But anyway, that's the re-signings. Let's jump to the end of the year. Hopefully make playoffs by winning out. So, sim into the playoffs. We're not gonna make it this year. I mean, it was expected. Doesn't make any sense considering we did in the last 2 years. Bit disappointed if I'm being honest. I think what the plan will be is we're not going to look at the stats. We're just going to jump straight to next year. So a few big free agency signings, Peppers and Peterson, and this is the draft. So once again, a decent draft. Not as good as the other ones. We still got a few potential starters in there. But I mean, this is the go all in year. So our team is looking very good. I'll show you what they look like in a second. Overall, that's sort of the top draft picks. But this is what the team looks like. We're up to a 93 overall. Offensively, we're doing ridiculously well. Christian Kirk's up in the 90s, didn't expect that. Offensive line is great. We've moved a few people around a little bit. We've got a few rookies or a few drafted guys in there who unfortunately don't go up in overall as quickly as you would hope, but they're still fairly decent. And on defence, it's a really good looking defence. Secondary is great with Jabril Peppers, who's up to a 98 overall. Trey Boston was okay, but once again he went down to normal dev, if you guys remember, a few years ago, and he hasn't really progressed as much as I'd like. So Buda Baker and Jabril Peppers, probably the best safety duo in the league there. Hopefully, we can do something this year. This will be the Super Bowl year. Let's sim through to the end of the year. Let's just go straight there. We're not going to bother with the re-signings or anything, because it will be over after this year, I think. Hopefully we can get there, make some, make an impact with the Cardinals. But it may look like we're not winning a lot of Super Bowls, and we're not. But unfortunately, I'm doing the teams in alphabetical order, and the first 5 or 6 just happen to be some of the worst teams in the league to do rebuilds with, which is quite frustrating. I mean, they're teams that tend to not do that well in the sim, and the Cardinals is one of those. Do we get the playoffs? I'm not sure whether we do there. We don't. We come bottom of the division at 6 and 10. So unfortunately, we don't win a Super Bowl this time. Be unfortunate. Let me know down in the comments how you guys would have, drafted differently, picked up players differently, traded differently. Drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon for another Madden 19 rebuild.